Well, hey there, everyone. It's Mrs. Acero, and I'm here to teach your class about sentence structure. Before we get into the lesson, I'd like to just introduce myself to you. I'm Mrs. Acero, and I have an online teaching store called All-in-One Middle School. I was a teacher for 34 years. Teaching language arts was my passion and remains my passion today. This presentation, along with printable guided notes, is available to print in my TPT store, so you'll want to see the link in the video description for that. If you are using the guided notes, you should fill them in anytime you see this icon. If your teacher lets you work with a partner, you will turn and talk in certain portions. I hope you find this lesson helpful. Let's dive in. So we want to get on board with our sentence structure. Writing good sentences is important. You'll also want to vary the types of sentences that you use in your writing. Today's goal is to understand the components of sentence structure, identify various types of clauses and sentences, and why varying sentence structure matters. So let's talk first about why it matters. There's no doubt that you've been taught the importance of writing with good, strong sentences. Sentence structure matters because it keeps your writing clear. A well-structured sentence helps readers understand exactly what you mean. It makes your reading interesting. If every sentence sounds the same, your reader will get bored. Mixing short and long sentences keeps their attention. It shows relationship between ideas. Sentence structure can show cause and effect, comparisons, and importance. It improves tone and flow. Smooth, varied sentences make your writing sound polished and professional. It also adds voice and style. Playing with sentence structure can make your writing sound more like you. Okay, so here we have our guided notes icon. So if you are using them, you'll want to start filling them in. So what is sentence structure? Let's get down to the very basics. We should all know this, but in case you don't, a sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. It contains a subject and a predicate. The subject is the part of the sentence that tells who or what the sentence is about. For example, in the sentence, the dog barked, the dog is the subject. Predicate is the part of the sentence that tells what the subject does or is. For example, the dog barked, barked is the predicate. A complete sentence must have a subject and a predicate. Without a subject, we don't know who or what the sentence is about. For example, ran quickly. Who ran? Without a predicate, we don't know what's happening. For example, the tall tree. What about the tree? So when a sentence is missing one of these, it's called a fragment. I'm going to be honest with you. We hear this all the time, using this term complete sentence. You really don't need the word complete. That's kind of redundant. A sentence has to be complete. It has to have a subject and a predicate. If it doesn't, it's not a sentence and it's not complete. Okay, clauses. A clause is a group of words that has a subject, who or what, and a predicate, your verb or action. There are two types of clauses. One is called an independent clause. This one has a subject and a predicate. It can stand alone as a complete sentence. For example, I love to read is an independent clause. Now, a dependent clause also has a subject and predicate, just like the independent one, but it cannot stand alone as a complete sentence. An example would be, because I love to read. Okay, so we're missing the thought of that one. So now you're going to try it. Turn and talk to your partner. One of you will say an independent clause and the other will say a dependent clause. For example, partner A could say, I love pizza. That's independent. Partner B, because it tastes amazing. Dependent. Which roles and create 2 new examples. There's a bonus challenge here. Combine your 2 clauses into one sentence. Example, I love pizza because it tastes amazing. I want to remind you again that both independent and dependent clauses have a subject and a predicate. And don't forget, you'll be filling in your guided notes here as well. Pause the video and turn and talk. Okay, we're going to talk about something that have very big words, but it's very simple, okay? The vocabulary here might sound a little confusing, but I promise you that the concept is very simple. Subordinate and coordinating conjunctions. Let's look how to properly combine your clauses. So we're going to talk first about subordinating conjunctions. What they do, they join a dependent, or we can also call a dependent clause a subordinate clause, to an independent clause, showing a relationship like cause, time, or condition. Common subordinating conjunctions are because, although, since, if, when, while, after, before, unless, even though, and whereas. Here's an example. I stayed inside because it was raining. So the word because is your subordinating conjunction. So what it does is it just connects the dependent clause to the independent clause. Let's talk next about coordinating conjunctions. What they do, they join 2 equal parts of a sentence, words, phrases for independent clauses. Common coordinating conjunctions are for, and, nor, but, or, yet. These are known as the fanboys. It's an acronym, like F stands for, A stands for and, etc. Okay? So for example, I wanted to play outside, but it started to rain. So if you look at this sentence here, it says, I wanted to play outside. That can stand alone. It started to rain. That can stand alone. It's joined together by one of the fanboys, okay? And you'll need a comma when you use one of them. Now, if you join your independent clauses without one of these conjunctions, you can do that. You just have to use a semicolon instead of the coordinating conjunction and instead of a comma. So for example, I wanted to go outside. It was raining too hard. Those are 2 independent thoughts hooked together by a semicolon. Okay, we're going to go over 3 different types of sentences. The first is a simple sentence. A simple sentence has one independent clause, subject plus predicate, and expresses a complete thought. It does not have any dependent clauses. So, for example, I love pizza. The dog barked loudly. Here are some tips. Simple sentences are the building blocks of clear writing. Use them to make strong, direct statements. Combine short, simple sentences with longer ones to vary your writing. Even though they're simple, you can make them more interesting by adding descriptive words or phrases. You can have a very long, simple sentence because you've added a lot of adjectives and adverbs, okay? They are good for emphasizing a single idea or fact before expanding with more complex sentences. And speaking of complex sentences, here we are. A complex sentence has one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. Dependent clauses cannot stand alone and usually start with words like because, although, since, when, if. We went over those. Examples, I stayed inside because it was raining. Although he was tired, he finished his homework. Okay, so you have here, although he was tired is dependent. He finished his homework is independent. Here, I stayed inside is independent. Because it was raining is dependent. Okay? So tips. Use complex sentences to show relationships between ideas. cause and effect, contrast, and time. Dependent clauses can come before or after the independent clause. Just remember to use proper punctuation. So what I did here is I put the independent clause first and the dependent clause second. Here the dependent clause is first and the independent clause is second. Combining ideas in one sentence helps your writing to flow more smoothly. Be careful not to make sentences too long or confusing, though. Clarity is key. They are great for adding detail and depth to your writing. And the last one we're going to go over today are compound sentences. So a compound sentence has two or more independent clauses joined by a coordinating conjunction. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, those fanboys, or the semicolon, as we've already talked about. So, for example, I wanted to go outside, but it was raining. It joins two independent clauses with the coordinating conjunction, but. She loves reading, and he enjoys writing. So you have your comma there again. You have your coordinating conjunction with your two independent clauses. Okay, some tips. Use compound sentences to connect related ideas and make your writing more interesting. Make sure each clause could stand alone as a complete sentence. Use commas before the coordinating conjunction when joining clauses. Vary compound sentences with simple and complex sentences to keep your reader engaged. These help show contrast, choice, or addition between ideas. So here are some examples, and I've added on to the same idea of the simple sentences. So I read a book, complex. I read a book because I enjoy stories. I read a book, and then I went to bed. That's your compound sentence, all right? So remember, you'll see those commas or semicolons in those compound sentences for sure. We love baseball. We love baseball even though we lost the first game. We love baseball. However, we love football even more. I had a cup of coffee. Although it was late at night, I had a cup of coffee. I had a cup of coffee. It gave me a lot of energy. I got a new puppy. After our dog died, I got a new puppy. I got a new puppy, but I will never forget my first dog. True, right? Okay, now you're going to try it. You're going to turn and talk. Each person shares one simple sentence about something they did yesterday or about a favorite hobby. So, for example, I played basketball. Complex sentence challenge. Take your simple sentence and add a dependent clause to show why, when, or how. I played basketball. I did how here because I wanted to practice my free throws. Compound sentence challenge. Take two ideas about your day or favorite activities and join them with a coordinating conjunction. I played basketball and my friend watched me practice. Don't forget coordinating conjunctions. Think of fanboys, for, and, nor, but, etc. Okay? So some tips: make it personal, use things from your life. Listen to your partner's sentences and give a friendly suggestion to make them more interesting. Try to create at least one sentence together. Pause the video and turn and talk. And that is a wrap. Be sure to tune back in for more Teach My Class episodes. You can also check out First Chapter Friday on my YouTube channel, where I'll read the first chapters of my favorite middle school novels. Hope to see you soon.